Okay, who are two of the key cognitive development theorists and what are their main contributions to the field of cognitive development?
Well, there's Piaget and Vygotsky. Jean Piaget suggested a child's cognition developed over 4 stages: the sensory motor stage, through senses and the motors; the pre-operational stage, 2 to 7, language and mental images as well as egocentrism; the concrete operational stage, 7 to 11. They require concrete or physical understandings and can begin to understand the world from other people's points of view; and the formal operations, 11 to adult, where teenagers can begin to understand abstract concepts. Lev Vygotsky believed language played a key role in thinking, moving from self-speech to inner speech. The child develops from lower order thinking to higher order thinking through language, culture and social interactions. He introduced the term MKO, or more knowledgeable other, who scaffolded learning, adjusting help given to what the learner requires, and believed that nurture was more important than nature.
Who are two of the key moral development theorists and what are their main contributions to the field of moral development?
Well, there was Lawrence Kohlberg, who was an American moral development theorist who expanded on Piaget's work. He developed the notion of internalisation, where the child begins to internalise their morals from the external directives of authority figures such as parents and teachers. The 3-stage 6 level of moral development started at pre-moral, to conformity, role conformity, to self-accepted moral principles. Then the Canadian moral theorist Albert Bandura believed that children learn through social context and adults act as role models from who children learn. He argued that human behaviour develops through the simple process of learning. Children will develop a strong sense of morality if they are exposed to adults who model appropriate behaviour and use motivation to reinforce positive behaviours as well as appropriate consequences to reinforce motivations not to act in certain ways. He considered the effects of violence and media on children's behaviour.
Why do you think it's important for teachers to have an understanding of cognitive and moral development?
Well, as a teacher, I will need to know what is age and stage appropriate to student learning needs and cognitive development. Well, there could be a divide in what I'm teaching and what the student is ready to learn. Vygotsky's theory recognises that there's a proximal zone of development between where a learner is at and their potential, which an MKO can help them to develop. If teaching is beyond their comprehension, they'll suffer, be it boredom or feelings of inadequacy. As a teacher, I'm also an important role model for my students' moral development. It's an important realisation to know that what I do and not what I say will influence a child the most. As a teacher, I'll be influential in guiding them into knowing right from wrong and developing their own inner moral compass.
How will knowing about theories of cognitive and moral development help you in your teaching practice?
Well, from cognitive theory, stage-based teaching according to developmental needs, individualised learning, social interactions, repetitions of concepts, as well as Gardner's 8 learning styles, they're all things I can take into consideration when I prepare my teaching cycle. I'll plan according to age and stage appropriate needs, be flexible to suit the individual, and scaffold learning to suit the individual. I'll include peer participation in learning as well as assessment, and I'll reflect critically on my programs to use them to make further programs. For moral development, I'll see every interaction as an opportunity for learning. Through discussion, I can help a child consider how their behaviour impacts on others. I'll promote discussion of positive and negative role models in the media, encourage students to critically reflect on what they're exposed to.
Can you please provide an example of the application of cognitive development in the classroom?
Okay, I'll devise a lesson based on Piaget's concept of conservation to grade 2 students who are about the age of 7 or 8. Students can work in pairs or groups to assess and measure jars of liquid with various volumes in different jars. They'll decide which is more, less or the same. Through discussion, we'll work out why and why they were correct or incorrect. According to Piaget's theory, around the age of 7 to 11, children move from pre-operational to the concrete operational stage and begin to understand conservation in numbers, weight and volume. They also learn by doing through use of concrete materials. And based on Vygotsky, there's a proximal zone of development, moving from present to potential. With a social constructivist approach, by working with their peers, learning can be promoted.
Can you please provide an example of the application of moral development in the classroom?
Okay, with the class of my Year 5 class, 10 to 11 year olds, we would discuss the rules or desired behaviours for the classroom. Instead of laying down the law, we'll construct classroom behaviour based on peer and social interaction. As Piaget contends, this age group of students are moving from heteronymous to autonomous moral thinking, moving away from authoritarian rules to moral principles based on fairness, cooperation, and a respect and justice for all. The reasons behind an action are just as important as the action itself. In this way, students can take ownership of their classroom and their behaviours. They're also able to critically reflect and subvert a value system if they think it's unfair or incorrect.